I think this is
Well,
probably a good point for you
yeah.
to talk about how you have set up profit sharing and how that applies to your employees.
So that's a great, when we were much smaller and we sweated every subscription, we sweated every cell phone that we added to our monthly expenses. I jokingly say back then I used to teach a class called Tell Me What You Need and I'll tell you how to get along without it. We just didn't want it. And,
Yeah.
you know, talking to my business owners or the leaders that are responsible for P&L, nobody's going to care about the money like the owner, like the person who's punished if you go off the rails there. So, don't just assume everybody's going to practice fiscal discipline the way that you do. So, you were talking earlier about, being able to save 10%. I'm sure there's somebody listening right now go, oh, 10%, that's not even worth the effort. Yeah, it is. All of it's worth the effort. So
Well, 100% of your overhead expenses that you save go to net profit.
yes.
So that's why it's so important to pinch pennies on that and to
Yeah.
be so critical of it. And again, if you'll share why that matters, because you're part of your
I,
profit sharing.
I will indeed, and just to but to finish out on the overhead look back, we talked about intentional. Is it there? Has it gotten out of hand and morphed into something else? Um, who's watching it? Who's accountable to make sure it doesn't go extend beyond where it's supposed to be? And the last thing I was going to say, and then we'll talk about the profit sharing. I really want to know: are we delivering? When I look at those fixed costs, are we delivering on the commitment that we all made to each other when we elected to add that fixed cost expense? So, for
Hmm.
example, I'm going to double space in Las Vegas because my team goes, if we had more, we could do this, and do this. Okay. Well, how are we going to do those things? How are we going to deliver on that? So I'm asking, we've doubled the rent. Are we doing what we said? Is it impacting our sales? And there's evidence that it is helping. We bought a $22,000 slide saw, which was the type of saw for the shop to help with a lot of the things that we're making now. We were told we're going to get more work like this. Are we actually getting more work? Are we doing anything intentional to go get that if it hasn't hit us yet? So anyway, that's the kinds of things I'm talking about, Khalil. But ultimately what I was after was, in order to keep a handle on those, I needed to get buy-in from every single person that works at my company. And what we said was, I said, okay, I can't speak for every owner, but this is what this one's going to do. We need them to be a great company and have great healthcare and have great retirement planning and to do fun things. We have to make a certain amount of profit as a company, and I'll put those things back in. But so let's just say, for example, we need a minimum of 10% earnings, and if we can do that, not only do these wonderful things stay that I just outlined, but we're gonna divide our earnings into three categories. A third of it is going to be paid out to the employees. A third of our total profits will be paid out to employees every year, not equally. So we have three categories of employees. So the executives and the people that run the team that aren't hourly, that aren't salary, that don't make any bonuses for anything like that, other than maybe some modest performance. They've got all the risk and they've got the responsibility. So they might be in this category of sharing X percentage of that profit. The middle group, which is the sales and strategy people, and these are the main doers that are in front of our customers and make things. They get it. They get it. And then the support people and administrative people, which can't work without them. They're in a category and they all equally split, this pie. But we have to hit, let's say, that 10% number. If we hit 7%, there's nothing paid out. It's completely a discretionary bonus. So we pay very competitively, and there are some performance incentives individually, but the real opportunity to make, some really good money, additional money, is in the profit sharing. So everybody's got an interest to make sure that we're not wasting any more, that it goes in there. That's job by job. That's not leaving half rolls of Velcro on the show floor when you're moving out, it's picking it up because that's 37 and a half feet of Velcro. And we go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rolls of Velcro a year, right? So all that stuff adds up. It's taking care of the return inspecting the inventory of counters and tables and frames that come back and making sure they're in good shape. So we're not having to always refurb and replace those. Anyway, there's a lot of things we've identified. So that's a big part, Khalil, of how I get buy-in. And then we meet regularly and talk about it because I want to hear. If we find out that, hey, we had 40 table counters go out on a private event project and a third of them came back, chipped and scratched and just hammered. I want to talk to who was it that packed those up and moved them out? Who was our carrier that moved them back? I don't even have to be the guy launching the investigation. My team does when they see an abnormal amount of what we call misuse and abuse, right? That comes back in because they know that's coming right out of the profit pool. So,
Yeah.
that's been a big change for us, Khalil.
With this, I mean, if I'm an employee, obviously, if I'm in management, I'm in that highest tier. I'm assuming that a lot of my compensation is coming from the profit share. But how are you communicating to your team? Like, I want to know the scoreboard. If I'm an employee and there's a profit share program, I need to know what's our net, what's our earnings? Are we at 10%? Like, I need to know to every week. How is that?
Yeah.
Because that's going to help me play the game,
Well,
right?
so everybody feels great in the first half of the year. We're a first half team, right? We just know that. So I want to say, historically, almost 2/3 of our revenue comes in the first 6 months of the year. A big part of that is because July and August, which are not known to be robust trade show months, um, aren't show heavy. There's just not a lot
Yeah.
going on. So we're constantly looking for what else can we find, probably not in the trade show lane. And we've made some inroads in new lanes that way. But basically, we really only have, and then December can be hit or miss
Right.
with the holidays between Thanksgiving, right? So somebody told me 25 years ago, and this is so true to this day, in the trade show business, you are guaranteed to make money 6 months a year if you show up with your shoes tied. You are guaranteed you're going to lose money at least 2 months. And it's the other 4 months that determine whether you have a good year or a bad year. So what are you doing with those 4 months? We don't accept the loss of those 2 months, but we are doing a lot of great things where everybody's planning their holiday time during, those slower months. We really encourage that. We don't apologize when there's lots of overtime for the hourly, particularly the field operators, and we encourage them. You got to be putting some money away for the summer because we're going to go to 30 or 35-hour work weeks in the summer months. I don't think, we don't want anybody having to live off of unemployment or leaving us and going on unemployment. So we make sure there's a minimum check that will always exceed what that is.